Bilbo, Bilbo Baggins, the bravest little hobbit of them all.
Right, just gonna get this out of the way first. I have not read any of Tolkien's work.
This is blasphemy.
So I'm probably the last person to talk about any of this. Though I have watched the Lord of the Rings films, and they are some of my favourites. The story, the characters, the world building. It's one of the most epic cinematic experiences ever. I've also seen the Hobbit trilogy, and it has a good start. I guess when it got to the third film it kinda lost me. Looking at it from a not read the book standpoint, maybe making 3 films out of 1 book is a bit of a stretch. Along with the films, I have a bunch of games on my shelf, most of them based on the films, like the Two Towers, the Third Age, and Conquest. I know a lot of people didn't like Conquest, but I had fun with it, even if Gandalf sounded like he had piles.
I am Gandalf!
Okay. And other games based around the lore of Middle-earth, like Shadow of Mordor. And now a game I haven't played since I was a teenager, The Hobbit on PS2. Or its full title, The Hobbit, The Prelude to the Lord of the Rings, on PS2. Actually, let's just call it The Hobbit, shall we? Now, the last time I played this, I remember liking it, but after playing it now, is it like how I remember it? Well, that's why we're here today, so let's talk about it. The Hobbit tells the story of Bilbo Baggins of the Shire, who lived a quiet hobbit life, until one evening, a wizard called Gandalf the Grey showed up along with 13 dwarves, led by Thorin Oakenshield. They eat all his food, and discuss plans to take back Erebor from Smaug the Dragon, and all they need is a burglar. And that's where Bilbo comes in. So Bilbo joins them on their quest and visit many amazing and dangerous places along the way to the Lonely Mountain. So with The Hobbit, if you think you're going to get a deep door? Okay, so for The Hobbit, if you think you're going to get a deep dive into the lore of Middle-earth, you're going to be disappointed. Because literally, this is the bare minimum of storytelling here. And even though I haven't read the books, it still feels like it's leaving a lot out, leaving only the bare bones of it. As, you know, being based on a book. Most of the story is told in a storybook-like way, with narration, with the odd cinematic cutscene thrown in. And I have to say, these are very well made. But I will say, Gollum is questionable.
My precious.
Don't go there.
And then you play a level based around that location, and whatever story beat goes with it. For example, you're outside the Trolls camp, and you have to pick their pockets. Or you're in the Elf King's Hall, and help the dwarves escape in barrels down the river. That sort of thing. And there's almost nothing else to it. You do get to interact with characters, but most of the time it's 1 or 2 lines of dialogue and there's barely any substance. The dwarves are either hungry, grumpy, or hungry and grumpy.
Oh, I wish you'd burgle us a nice hot dinner. I'm starving.
Then go hunt a rabbit and make stew, you ballbag. Speaking of speaking, the voice acting is serviceable, if a bit audiobookish, if that makes sense. Gandalf, voiced by Jim Ward, kinda sounds like a mix between Ian McKellen's Gandalf and what could have been Sean Connery's version.
Trolls must have a cave nearby to hide from the sun. We must look into it. Find the troll cave, Bilbo.
You shall not pass! Or I'll give you a slap. But the worst offender here is Michael Beattie's Bilbo Baggins. He sounds like a character from a preschool cartoon. I know this game is targeted at a younger demographic, but it doesn't have to sound like an episode of Postman Pat.
Hello? Thorin? Oh, can't fusticate these dwarves. They knew better than to get lost in Mirkwood Forest. Well, I'd better find them.
What a tip.
But I do like the sass effort though.
This wood is too wet to catch fire.
Perhaps you need dry firewood.
But the funny thing is, there are notable voice actors here. I mean, Beattie would go on to voice fan favourite Morden Solis in the Mass Effect series. Along with Beattie, the Hobbit voice cast includes Tom Kane, Jennifer Hale, D. Bradley Baker, Cam Clarke, James Arnold Taylor and Robin Atkin Downes. And don't get me wrong, these are legendary tier voice actors. But there is not a standout performance here, and the characters are just not rememberable. The character models are not anything to write home about either. The dwarves all look the same. Yeah, they might have different shaped and coloured beards and armour, but they're all the same size, same head, same nose. Seems like a copy and paste job. I mean, look at Glórin and Orin. Yeah, they might be related, but they shouldn't have to look similar. Not only that, they and the NPCs look very unpolished. They all look faded and their eyes look cloudy. like the developers forgot to add shine to them, and they just look unfinished. I mean, the trolls look like they're eating their own shoulders. And one more thing, the other hobbits look like character pieces on a chessboard, along with all the other issues I just mentioned. Although they did pay enough attention to their assets. But Bilbo is the only one that shows emotion, or any character. The blue eyes do stand out and has some good reactions. So why did no one else get the same treatment? It's just a bit silly in my opinion. But I will give them credit for the level design though, because these levels are huge. They really put effort into capturing these story locations whilst putting an adventure game spin on it. Favourites include the Shire, the Goblin Mines, Dragon's Lair and Erebor, and all created on an epic scale. I will also say they did a good job with Smaug. When it comes to video game dragons, this is a good one. But I have the same issue I did with the character models. It looks like they forgot to add the finishing touches. I mean, I've seen a lot worse. It's just that it looks a touch above PS1 standards. I'm not sure how well you can see the gameplay I recorded for this video, which is on original hardware and not emulated. So it could look worse or better from your standpoint. But in my opinion, it's not great. This game came out in 2003, which is about halfway through the PS2's lifespan. And considering what else came out before this, Metal Gear Solid 2, Jak and Daxter, Final Fantasy X, and Ratchet & Clank all came out around 1 or 2 years before this, and they look incredible for their time. It's maybe something they had to cut back on for the size of the level. Either way, it's not aged well. Also, I know there are other ports out there, and they might have some differences. So let me know in the comments if you played any of the other ports. It'd be interesting to find out if there are. Right, time for the gameplay. The Hobbit is an action-adventure game with elements of platforming. You'll run, jump, vault, climb, sneak, and fight your way through the game, with a few surprises in store, including light puzzle solving. Along with the main objectives, you'll get side quests. So let's break this down because there's quite a bit to get through. Okay, so traversing the levels is very interesting, because even though the game presents itself as a kids game, it can be quite challenging. The game does give you all the tools you need to get by. I like that you can use your walking stick to vault across wider gaps, because sometimes you don't know if a regular jump is going to cut it. It's all fair and balanced. I miscalculated some of my jumps, and I paid for it. And yes, there is fall damage, and if it doesn't take a massive chunk off you, you will die. And it's happened to me a lot more than I'd like to admit, using every curse word under the sun.
Fucking bollocks.
But I will admit, it was my fault these happened. But it does do an Assassin's Creed on you sometimes. And a 1, and a 2, and a bugger. So you might have to end up being a bit more careful. And thank the camera actually works well here. Seriously, a terrible camera in a video game is like letting a chimp cook your dinner. You just end up with poo. One of the collectibles are courage points. You collect enough of these, you'll extend your health bar. Trust me, you're gonna need them for what you're up against later. And all these are all over the place, in every nook and cranny, making you explore every inch of that level. And some of those places are harder to reach than others. They are not necessary for the main goal, but for health bar extension, are they worth the risk? Or in my case, the f***ing headache. There are also chests scattered about the place, also in hard to reach places. Seriously, I look at some of these, and I think to myself, Jesus, how do I reach that?
Oh, no.
But again, are they worth the arsake? Some of them are, because some of them have upgrades that will help you in combat. More on that later. Also, some chests need to be unlocked with a minigame by pressing X at the right time. And these vines and ropes are bastards. Some suck themselves up, whilst others just break. It's cool that Bilbo reaches his arm out and makes sure you've lined up with the others, but on vines like this, it makes you panic and just drops me into the drink, which in turn makes me go
Fucking bollocks.
The checkpoint system is another thing. Well, it's actually more of a manual save. And let me tell you, if you see one of these, don't ignore it. Just f***ing don't. In the Shire, I saved just before I picked up a hammer for this guy who is repairing the bridge. And then I went on to get rid of these crows for this farmer, snuck around a hedge maze for berries, and found one of the kids I've been playing hide and seek with. Then I snuck into the chicken coop for some eggs. Then I thought it'd be funny if I got caught. I saw Bilbo get chased out, had a giggle, then the game sends me back to before I got the hammer.
Fucking bollocks.
Which meant I had to do everything I just said all over again. And that also means recollecting any courage points too. So even though I didn't die, it's still considered a game over. So I learnt that lesson the hard way. Some people would prefer a normal checkpoint system, but I think this works too. and there is a fair amount of them as well. There's even one outside of the chicken coop. Well, I was due one of these at some point.
You stupid, stupid bastard!
As for combat, you start out with rocks to throw and your walking stick, which starts out with one hit, but you can extend it and make a combo and add special moves like a jump slam by collecting upgrades I mentioned earlier. Then a little later, you'll get your hands on Sting. The combat starts easy breezy, with a few wolves or these froggy creatures coming at you. Then you'll end up fighting bigger enemies like goblins and wraiths. And when you fight the goblins and wraiths, this is when they start ganging up on you. And if they're not stabbing, they're flanking you from all sides with projectiles. Now the combat is easy to grasp, just one attack button with a jump attack. So you'd think it'd be all slice and dice, right?
No!
You're gonna get f***ing hit no matter what, I guarantee it. I mean, you'll most likely die over and over too, with added more cursing.
Fucking bollocks.
So you better grab those points to extend your health bar. Stock up on potions and antidotes too while you're at it, because those spiders are little not only chipping at your health bar, but can poison you too, making you die a lot quicker. And again,
Fucking bollocks.
for me, just trying to hit them wasn't working, so I thought of a cunning strategy that no one would ever have thought of. Leap about, then swing like Yoda till they fell over. Up! Oh, f*** you. Wait, no. Basically, the combat is so flimsy, you'll be jumping around like you're listening to House of Pain. And even though it's silly in a fun way, it was not supposed to be like that, so it's a bit naff in my opinion. As Bilbo has taken up the role of burglar, there are moments of stealth in The Hobbit, and I think they did a good job here. Again, a bit tougher than I thought, but again, still fair. Like you have to time the enemy looking away just right to sneak past, whilst also avoiding things that make noise, like leaves and gold. Like in Smaug's lair, where you have to avoid making too much noise, otherwise you're a barbecued hobbit. But as this is The Hobbit, halfway through you'll obtain the One Ring, and get to use it, and it really does come in handy. It's so satisfying to sneak past all the elves, although I still got caught a couple of times. And Bilbo looks genuinely sad here. It's like he's been told off by his mum.
How could this happen to me?
This point was literally by this guy's ass. Of course I was gonna get caught. You can even use the ring to bypass fights you can't even be bothered with. So as for the stealth mechanic, can't complain. When it comes to everything else you'll be doing, it can vary. Most of the levels are more linear than others, like the Misty Mountain or Mirkwood Forest, just getting from A to B, but others you'll be confined to one area. The Shire is a good example of this, and is a good way to get to grips with all the mechanics and introduce you to main and optional quests.
Bumber the dwarf tried to buy some sugar and spice, but I couldn't find the keys to my spice chests. Pick the locks on those chests and you're welcome to all the spices you need.
Look, love, I've had enough of your spice chest to last a lifetime. All quests reward you with a good amount of courage points. Most optional quests are fetch quests, but they're not too bad for the most part, and a bunch of boss battles too. The most interesting one being the 3 Spider Sisters, using rocks with elemental charms to take them down. The funny thing is, before that, you rescue the dwarves, and you do that, but what do? They f*** off, and they complain about the elves not helping them out.
What a bunch of a-holes.
In some quests, there are a few moving parts to it. For example, in the Goblin Mine...
Could you open this gate for me, sir? Please?
What are you? A little rabbit got away from the cooks? Well, little rat, if you want this gate open, you bring me the Wartstone from Crugbit. Fix the broken dwarf lift and you can steal the Wartstone from Crugbit.
Yeah, he sounds trustworthy. So you'll be climbing and jumping on moving platforms to get to this stone, whilst also finding levers to fix the cable lifts. And with that, it is doing its best to come full circle and not feel like backtracking.
I found your Wartstone. Now please, open the gate.
Oh, I'll open the gate.
I fucking knew it!
But yeah, sometimes it does feel like you're backtracking. Like in Lake Town. Yeah, it's not a badly designed level. It just feels like you're going back and forth sometimes, with not much happening, just fetching things and bringing them back. There are some fun stealth and puzzle sections though, like the bottle puzzle, with an encrypted hint from Malak, who looks like Colin Mockery, and sneaking past the goblins and thieves to get back Bard's black arrow, with Bard looking like Steve Blackman. But this level still feels a bit sluggish and drawn out. But in Erebor, that's when the slog gets real. The main goal is to open the door to the treasury. Again, there are some nice puzzles here, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to be wandering back and forth between places. One dwarf might tell you to go to one room, then that dwarf in that room tells you to go somewhere else. And this level is way too big to be going back and forth in, and some items are given no indication on where they are. I'm not saying we need our handheld, but maybe 1 or 2 hints? Because this can be tedious, and not helped by these f***ing spiders. And then you have the big finale level, set in the Battle of the 5 Armies. And it's quite lame. It's mainly clearing the path and killing goblins in a bland looking level, and you don't even have to kill all of them. I mostly just use my ring to sneak past them all, and you don't even get a final boss. You just save beyond the bear and he just kills the big bad goblin, who I can't remember the name of because it was barely brought up.
Oh, for God's sake.
I don't want to sound disrespectful as I come to my conclusion. I wouldn't say this game was cheap, but it feels like one of those games you find in a bargain bin. The game feels like it's underdone, like they didn't put the finishing touches on this. I'm not saying they didn't work hard on the game, but this game needed polish. The story it's adapting from is deep, but is barely dived into. The levels are big, but lacking detail, along with the character models. Great voice cast with no standout performances. Combat is sloppy, but the platforming is solid, along with the stealth segments. And it starts well, but becomes a crawl by the end. But would I still recommend The Hobbit? Kinda. I guess it comes down to how much you're willing to put up with. There are some good parts here, but it all feels unfinished, and could have been so much more. But to be honest, under 10 quid, you could do a lot worse. So maybe you should go there, but you might end up coming back sooner than you think. And that was my review of the Hobbit video game. But what do you guys think? Did you play this game? What's your favourite Lord of the Rings game? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Comment down below and let me know, because I'd really love to know. And that's about everything for today, my friends. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like what you saw, make sure you like. If you really like what you saw, make sure you subscribe. And if you love what you saw, maybe give it a share about too. And follow me on Facebook, X and Instagram. I've been Titch, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Fucking bollocks.